bring these guys in.
Yeah.
That'll probably help us. So, all right. My apologies for the technical issue. We have. I'll just start with the intro. Now you can hear. Yeah. So we're on-site stuff is always a little different than not being on site. So here we go.
So if you didn't hear anything, we actually dropped all the knowledge, winning lottery numbers, everything.
Yeah,
during those first 3 minutes.
You completely missed out. So here we are, and buttons are hard. So I'm going to start over. We have I'm going to start over at least with the intros, so we don't burn another 4 minutes. So we have Matt Zechmann here. Matt's the Vice President of Operations. Matt's had a distinguished career in logistics and supply chain. He has a proven track record of building and leading high-performance teams, developing strong customer relationships, and managing resources efficiently to achieve organizational goals while ensuring profitable growth. I didn't know this about Matt, and I've known Matt for some time, but he's an avid cook, and he's competed in multiple national barbecue competitions.
That's a way cooler hobby than me.
Right. And now Matt's going to become my best friend because I spend all kinds of time sitting over barbecues. Yeah. So, and next to Matt, we have Rob McNeil. Rob is the Vice President of Sales and Solutions at TA Dedicated. Rob, you've been in the industry 25 years, and you've honed your expertise across various roles at some industry-leading providers. You've got both of you have a heck of a resume, to be honest with you. You have extensive operational background, allowing you to adeptly solve supply chain challenges, from benchmarking costs to developing innovative transportation solutions. Your passion for the industry and commitment to excellence make you a valuable resource for sharing best practices and driving progress in the logistics field. So I like to give some good background and take what I can to put together. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us. Great to be here.
So how are things at TA Dedicated?
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I think like everybody else, I think the market for everyone has really been challenging over the last couple of years. With us being fully in the dedicated space, we're a pure play dedicated provider. And we're a little further down the continuum when things get in the truckload market, when things slow down. Takes a little bit of time for us to feel it as strongly as the folks in the truckload space. So, but make no bones about it, we've definitely felt it. We feel pressure in the pricing arena, just like everybody else in this industry is. So I think we're continuing to work hard and continue to find ways that we can continue to add value to our customers and help them continue to win in their space and really drive waste out of the process, drive waste out of their businesses and their operations. So that's what it's really all about, trying to help them navigate some of these challenges as well in this market.
No, fair enough. The market's definitely been a wild and crazy one, and I know it's a lot different on the dedicated side. So TA, and we can probably circle back on the market stuff here in a little bit. TA's been around, Transport America has been around, but TA Dedicated, there's a long story here. So that a long story, a great culture. Can you give us a glimpse into TA's background, sort of how it's come about and where you're at today?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna actually interrupt. There's all kinds of people that lit us up with Right On Matt, Barbecue Champ, American Royal, and KC, True Pro, etc. So I've been a Blake.
There's a lot of love there.
Yeah. There's quite a bit. So
they haven't even tried his tri-tip yet.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. We had a tri-tip last night.
That's what we
I did a tri-tip.
Yeah,
I smoked tri-tip last night. That's what. Yeah, Jennie was part of that. So
nice.
Called the Q-cast.
Oh, there we go. The Q-cast. I like
and see, we can go to conspiracy theories too.
So go ahead, Matt.
Sure. So really briefly, right? TA Dedicated is a combination of Legacy, Transport America, and UPS. So really briefly, UPS, the group there came all the way from two different groups, with UPS purchasing Overnight Express all the way back in 2006. They formed UPS Freight, and then that was sold to TFI in 2021. And then on the Transport America side, it was founded in 1984, and in 2014, TFI purchased Transport America. And then in 2021, when all this was happening, CFI and TAD or Transport America became one company. And then we brought everybody together. And then TFI made the decision to sell off the CFI, but retain the dedicated. So then we rebranded as TA dedicated. So we're about a third legacy Transport America dedicated and 2/3 legacy UPS dedicated. So we're about 1,000 trucks, about 1,100 drivers. California, Washington State, all the way up into New Hampshire and down into Florida and most of the states in between. So, and as Rob kind of said, it's really contract dedicated. That's the name of the game for us.
So because of that, you've been able to navigate that. Because of that contract dedicated, you've been able to navigate these difficult market conditions a little, as you were saying, a little bit better than maybe your irregular route brothers and sisters. So
yeah, definitely. And I think that's why customers gravitate towards dedicated. You know, they've got a solution they can set a budget to. You know, most of our deals are 3 to 5 year contracts, and you know, the thing that we find that really works between us and our customers, having some type of index when you talk about rate increases or decreases year to year, right? So you can kind of base that off of a consumer price index or a producer price index. It just takes a lot of that I don't know, challenges and difficulties come contract time every year out of the mix. Yeah. So I think just that solution for our customers, something they can set their budget to with some level of certainty, you know, is really where we find that value, and they find the value in working with a dedicated provider.
I wanted to touch real quick. Obviously, that's quite an evolution of how the businesses came together, and then some separation and kind of how it's evolved into today. How do you maintain a culture that is still trying to move forward and trying to grow in a way that is sustainable? You know, within these four walls, and then obviously we can see in the background some of the other operating areas. How do you maintain that culture through all that change?
Yeah, it's difficult, and especially right with the time period was COVID, and so we were going through a lot of this with a lot of remote, and with especially our dedicated operations, but in general, our company is very decentralized. So most of our folks are in the field at customer distribution sites, manufacturing sites. Our drivers are there. You know, we're set up really as an extension of those supply chains. So when we kind of cycling back to when we said, okay, we're going to be TA dedicated now, our leadership group got together and we spent a ton of time saying, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? What makes sense to us? So kind of a couple things came out of that. We really look at authenticity. So we try to engage. So with the space we're in right now, we do a weekly stand-up every Friday morning. Even through COVID, we managed to keep it going. But we go around, we recognize people, we give updates. We have a big group of folks that join on Teams. So I think we usually get about 100 or so folks on Teams and all the folks in the office. And that really helped us with that culture. But because we're so decentralized, I think there's these different cultures. So what we've really talked about is trying to pull everyone together with some main points. So you hear us, I think it's on there, but our core values, we spent a lot of time working through developing those and then putting it out to everybody to vote on what our fourth core value would be. So we picked the three, we had everyone else vote on the fourth core value, which I think helped do that. And then we kind of said, as you said, a lot of change. And we said, okay, there's a lot of change. What matters to the company in navigating this? And that's where we kind of set up these four core themes that we thought mattered to us as a business and how we could direct everyone to swim the same direction kind of over these four concepts. So DE&I, sustainability, training and development, and systems and tech. We actually have subgroups that are just focused on those. And we're just going to continue to, try to develop along that. So I think a lot of that has helped us build the culture that we want to have for all that. So
one of the really cool things that Matt hit on, he talked about those core theme groups. Everybody, we're all in the trucking industry, right? Everybody's busy. They've got enough stuff on their plate and then some. We asked to our folks in the field and here in Egan, everybody within our company to basically raise their hand and say, yeah, you know what? I want to participate in our sustainability group or our DE&I group. And we actually had 20% of our company people raise their hands and said, yeah, I want to do more work. This is really special to me. This is important to me. Right. And I think that's something we're really intentional about how do we involve everybody in this organization and really the exciting part for me, is just, and I think a lot of us feel the same way, is we're building something, right? We don't have a Transport America culture or a UPS dedicated culture. This is a new organization. We built a culture that's really 2 years old. And I think it's just really exciting for all of us to be part of that. And everybody has input into it. It's not just something that happens in Egan or something that happens in, closed door executive offices. It's something that, we felt was really important for our organization to embrace. And I think that's just a great example of how people buy into it. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's been challenging, but it's also been really rewarding too.
So you said your 4 core values were D&I. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that stand for specifically for everyone watching?
Diversity, equality, and inclusion.
Right. Okay. And then the second one was sustainability. And the third one is
training and development.
Yep. And then the fourth one is tech and
system. Okay. Technology.
What's interesting is I hear all that. And sorry to interrupt you, Dave, but
no.
What I love is that nowhere in there do you see headcount, do you see cents per mile. It's all about how are we building the individuals, which then lead to all those other KPIs, which is, and it was all done obviously very deliberately by the leadership team, which for those that are watching, because I know that there's a lot of change and things happening in the industry. I mean, that the leadership team being deliberate about it is what I'm seeing is so important, because the rest of the organization saw that and obviously bought in very quickly that, we're going to talk the talk and we're going to walk the walk. And that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So are those values listed in a particular order?
I think the order hasn't, there's not a specific order in there. But I think we kind of, in my head at least, we kind of group them. DE&I is really about, as you kind of say, the people, right? We want to understand what it means for us, for the people. Sustainability is really something that, is an internal thing, right? That we can talk more about this, but there's a lot of different things. It's not just an electric truck, but there's a lot of opportunity in our industry to have an impact there. And it's really big with our customers. And so we really want to understand how to hit that. And then I think those training and development and systems and tech, with all the change, we kind of said, hey, we have a lot of opportunity here to understand and encourage ourselves to get better in these areas. Taking training and development, for an example. I mean, there was a Transport America way of doing something. There was a UPS way of doing something. Then there was a CFI way of doing something. And now there needs to be a TA dedicated way of doing something. So really redeveloping a lot of those SOPs, pulling things apart, putting them back together. It's that impactful, and kind of goes with the systems and tech. We've had so many changes in our technology and different legacy pieces of technology. So a lot of work there. So to me, those ones are a little bit internal, but they're so important for us.
And they're all interwoven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Absolutely.
curious, which one was voted for?
Sorry, on the core values, I'm trying to remember. Do you remember which of the core values was voted for, Rob? I can't. There's a safety, there's connection, innovation, and integrity. I believe it was connection.
I think it was connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah.
And that,
It's-
even for your values, you pull that in and connected everybody to the values. Like connection is just so important.
Yeah, and I think it's so important too when you talk about the uniqueness of this business. Matt hit on it earlier. Like our customer facing operations folks are usually out in a transportation office in a DC offsite somewhere, right? And for those folks to feel connected to our organization and understand what it means to be part of TA dedicated, the connection that we have with our drivers, that's obviously really, really important to us. So just throughout our organization, those are the things that we try to hold in high regard. And as we're making tough decisions that you need to be balanced, those are things that kind of come into that decision-making process too.
Yeah. No, the world's a little different with those remote workforces. It's you certainly change your strategy in working with people today a lot more than what we did in the past. And there's a lot more tools available to you to do that too. And building that culture remotely, I just wrote about this morning, at least to some aspect. I read about it all the time because GLCS is an entirely remote team. So it's been difficult not only to manage a remote team, but then to develop that remote team. So to build those people to the next level is something that's difficult, but yet achievable if you do it right. So let's talk about sustainability a little bit. you guys are all over the country, so you're applying yourself to all levels of sustainability. California.
Wow, that was a
We're so subtle.
California.
So
That's a soundboard.
Yeah,
right there.
Is
Yeah.
there
might have to shut it up. Yeah, there we go. Okay,
It-
so
it-
you gotta.
got a timer.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Gotta monitor Bain
Don't
and his
put Bain
noises.
the
So, so what initiatives are you currently enacting on the sustainability side? Not just EVs, but part of the EV initiative. Obviously, you're up against some deadlines in California.
Yeah. No, I think for us, we really started out like everyone else. You have to start from square one and you have to learn. There are very few experts in this space. And we felt for us as an organization to be able to provide value to our customers, we wanted to go out and learn as much as we could on their behalf. Because they're kind of trusting us to be the experts to bring solutions, concerns, updates to them. So we really worked internally to really jump in and dive in head first. And as Matt kind of pointed out, our sustainability group, I think of this as kind of a sustainability task force. So internally, we've got 12 folks that, again, raised their hand and said, I want to be part of this. And we've been working closely with our OEMs, talking to vendors, developing solutions for our customers. We also just had an opportunity to head out to the ACT Sustainability Expo in Las Vegas a few weeks ago. We had myself and 3 others there from across our organization. So we were out there learning what the art of the possible is, what the challenges are. I think we all know what the challenges are, but there were just some really good insights that we gained out of that. I think for me, I walked away with it, really understanding the technology continues to get better. The trucks continue to get better. The OEMs are doing a great job being nimble and thinking and working differently. So that I would say that is pretty far out there in terms of the total cost of ownership. That's another core piece that it's getting better, but it's still got a ways to go. But the piece that we're really struggling as a country is in the policy making.
Mhm.
And Nate, you very subtly hit on it, but that's a piece where we're trying to solve that problem for our customers right now. And we're getting out and talking about the challenges that they're experiencing and coming up with solutions that are going to help fit their needs. I think, right now, just specifically, we've got a customer where we've got a pretty good sized fleet of Group 1 box trucks. And, we know that by 2025, 10% of that fleet has to be transitioned into a battery electric version of that. So we've continued to have lots of engagement from our partners and our OEMs to come up with different solutions. Again, that's going to be a truck solution,
Right.
but part of that too is how do we take our supply chain engineering team to say, we need to put together different routings to take into account the fact that the range isn't going to be
Right.
what we're getting from those diesel straight trucks now. So, to me, there's a really big component that is all about buying the right trucks that are spec'd from a BEV standpoint or hydrogen fuel cell, whatever the technology is, CNG. But it's also about doing good trucking things. It's about speccing your equipment from an aerodynamic standpoint. It's about getting the best MPG you can. It's about understanding the new technology that might be out there. We were talking earlier, there's a vendor out there, and it just blew me away at ACT Expo. They were on the floor with a trailer that had an e-axle that was basically a battery electric trailer tandem axle that gave support to the truck. They were getting 18 miles to the gallon on that one trip.
That's a pusher axle, basically.
Yeah,
right? To use a different term.
Yeah. And it just that kind of technology is out there. I think it's important for us to be able to know what the ins and outs of those are, so we can go to our customers and say, hey, here's a solution that we think you should demo. We think you should consider. So we've been doing a lot of those conversations with our customers about here's what we recommend because of the partners we've talked to. We think this would work for your business, and that just helps us to be more sticky and provide more value to our customers too, because it's an issue that the entire industry is struggling to work through.
Yeah, it's a top issue. So it's absolutely a top issue, and it's one that I think all of us are looking at, not only from the vehicle side, but the infrastructure side to support it.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
It's one thing to move 10% of the fleet, but then to eventually move 100% of the fleet.
Yeah.
That the studies around that and the trillions of dollars to do it.
Rolling Browns.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's already happening.
At ACT Expo, I would encourage folks, if you've got some interest here, Shelly Simpson from JB Hunt just had a phenomenal keynote, and her comment that really kind of stuck with me, and I think a lot of other folks as well. They've done a lot of work in the space, and she talked about, if JB Hunt were to electrify their entire fleet, take 1.4 million homes, the power from 1.4 million homes to electrify their fleet.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you want to say, I don't need power in my
Right.
home, so JB Hunt can electrify their fleet. And
Yeah.
that's just a really interesting way to put it, and some context that I think gets people thinking. I think as a trucking industry, we need to continue to do as much as we can to help educate folks and work together. There's a lot of collaboration going on that just needs to continue and continue.
And I think
quickly.
what folks need to realize too is this isn't like the industry pushing back saying, no, we don't want to do
Yeah,
these things.
yeah.
I think we recognize that, yes, there is a need.
Absolutely.
There's a large carbon footprint across our industry, right? But it's the reality of it. Like, because you mentioned there's not a whole lot of experts. You're right on this side of the table. There's a lot of experts who'll tell you all the problems and how the world's going to burn in 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that things aren't in a position that aren't good, but the reality is, yeah, you're going to have 1.4 million homes without power to electrify one fleet,
Mhm.
let alone the TIA Dedicateds, the Night Swifts, the XPOs of the world. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
It's great that we have electrified trucks. We just have no power. We have nothing. Can't even buy anything.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's certainly a problem to walk down towards. It's not something that's going to get resolved overnight. When you talk about carbon footprint, though, you look at over 40 years, we've reduced the carbon emissions out of trucks 98.5%. So it's not, to your point, it's something that the industry is tackling. A truck from the 90s to a truck to today has become 60% more efficient from an emissions output standpoint. 60 times. That means one truck or 60 trucks on the road in 1990, or I'm sorry, one truck today is 60 trucks today on the road.
Yeah.
Man, if I could get them, jeez, 60 trucks on the road today is like one truck on the road in the 90s. So, math is hard. Yeah. So that's crazy when you think about it. And that's in our career. I mean, in some of our careers, I don't know, I've been around for a while. So, well, you guys, I did the intros for you guys. So you guys have been around pretty much the same amount of time. Yeah. But yeah, so, 60 trucks on the road, as comparative to one from an emission standpoint. Now that truck costs a little bit more than what it did when I first got in the industry.
Yeah, for sure.
And over the last 10 years, that truck's become twice as much more, mostly because of the emissions that have been applied to it. So, and there's literally a 2,500 pound filter on them now. So, to that point as well, but, it's hard to say what more is going to come down the road, but the policies that do come down and the aggressiveness around them, do make it difficult to meet business requirements.
Yeah.
So,
The one thing too, I would add, I think just folks that are involved and people may see this timing getting spread out and lengthened in time. I think as we talk about this with our customers, we can't put our heads in the sand, right? It's coming. And even though it may not be coming as fast as maybe folks had thought, it's time to start learning. It's time to start piloting. It's time to really dig in and see what's out there. And I would tell you, we've had some really good discussions with our customers. A great place to start are battery electric yard trucks.
Sure.
We talked about infrastructure and things. There's not a lot of infrastructure needed to run one or two of those trucks on your yard. And that's just a really great jumping in point for a lot of our customers. And, I think a lot of folks in the industry are seeing that too as a good place to start your learning and just start heading on the path.
Start local. And then
Yeah.
spread out,
So let's shift into drivers, driver recruiting, driver retention, driver shortage. Let's talk a little bit about that. What are you guys doing? How's your driver retention? How's your driver recruiting? That's a topic that is of top of mind to everyone, I think, these days. So I'm going to pass that baton over to you.
Oh, nice easy one. I appreciate that, Nate. not much bounce back there. Especially from all the transition we've gone through. When I first came to what was Transport America and enrolls before, Transport America had a large OTR network, and I think it was very, we had truck driving, schools we partnered with, we'd bring drivers in, we'd train them here, and we would then, bring them through, and we had that network to kind of support. And, when you kind of look at those requirements for the driver, and then you look at what we're asking to do, be out 6 weeks at a time and, live out of your truck. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough job, and we all know that, right? But that is tough to recruit for, and especially as we were heading into COVID, it just continued to get more and more tough. So, I kind of look at that as, the less of that we can do, and the more we can do in kind of the dedicated that makes sense for our customers. That also gives us a much better product for our customers and a much better job for our drivers. So a lot of our driver jobs are home daily or home weekly jobs. And because we're very specific in how we work, we are, we get to pay in a second, but, we can be very consistent on this is when you can expect to be home. This is where we need to hire from. We're going to hire in this radius because we know where the freight is. Or you're going to go drive your personal vehicle and pick up the day cab here and then do your route. And then you get to go home in your own bed. So our turnover is a lot better. Now you get into a couple of our different dedicated accounts, and we can see increased turnover for a variety of reasons. It might not be pay. It might be just the challenge of the role, where the roles are and how that all fits together. But our turnover has substantially decreased, and especially with some of our customers. We have some very challenging customers. We do a lot of overnight unattended delivery. And when I mean overnight unattended delivery, we're taking it off with power lift gate. We have the keys to a facility, a retail store, a dealership, and we're delivering parts into that location, then locking back up and going home. So, a driver that comes in and has never done that before is a big change. Yep. There's a lot here that's not driving that we're asking these drivers to do. But as we get into that, we're able to come up with pay packages that allow them to have a very consistent paycheck. You don't have this, super strong week, then down week, and hey, I'm waiting for a dispatch. Can I get a dispatch? It's very consistent. So that's where I see a lot of those driver jobs shifting. We don't have, the biggest problems we run into is just the amount of time it takes to find that right fit for that role. But once we find that right fit, our drivers tend to stick around. So the turnover is a little different of a challenge, right? Because it's not as commoditized. It's still a commodity in a sense, but it is, finding that right fit for that job. So I don't think there's as much, especially in the dedicated space where there's a shortage of drivers. It's just finding the right drivers, and it's a different approach.
Sure. So. Yeah, very much so. It's about having a good job for drivers that they want to stay for. So, and I've always said that I don't think we have necessarily a shortage of drivers. I think we have a shortage of good jobs. Mm-hmm. And if you have a good job, you really don't have much more than sometimes you don't have enough turnover. If you're running that 4, 5, 6% turnover, you have to wonder, am I actually turning over enough people? Which is a whole nother discussion. But that being said, there's a healthy amount of turnover, and then there's an unhealthy amount of turnover. And if you're wondering if you have an unhealthy amount, or if you have a healthy amount of turnover, if you don't have enough turnover, you're doing pretty good. So you've created a good job or a group of jobs for drivers. So those over the road jobs are really, really hard to employ. So
double click on a little bit. So again, that, like you said, the dedicated space is a little different, whether it's, how you operate, how they drive. A good driving job is not just consistent pay. It's also the support they get from the office, from on site. What type of things are offered for TA drivers too, as far as support?
That's a great question. So a lot of our advancements have been in trying to do more robust tech. So we've upgraded our in-cab technologies. We're building out more tools for our drivers to access things through their phones. But as you said, a lot of it for us, the majority of our jobs, our folks are on site, our operations staff. So that relationship on site is what truly matters, because we're not calling constantly. We still have some accounts where we're calling back either here to Egan or somewhere else, but the majority of ours, it's, hey, I'm going back into the office and I need to take care of this issue. Either I don't understand why my pay is wrong, or I need to take vacation, or whatever it may be. A lot of these are now face-to-face conversations. So a lot of our time is really spent around trying to make sure our folks on site are able to do enough that they can do to focus on the drivers, not spending a ton of time doing non-value add things, tracking down other things. Focus on the driver, focus on the customer. The rest will support, through our functions.
Right. Awesome. That's good stuff.
How about that? So finding the right people in the office environment. Once again, I said the great culture here at TA Dedicated. You guys have a great team of people, not only from a driver standpoint, but that team that is on site at the customers, that are on site here, that are on site at all your locations. We talked a little bit about the tactics you take, meeting with them, but go a little bit deeper into that, because I know there's a lot of there's more than just values. There's more than just a few meetings. Can you shed a little bit more light on that?
Yeah. I think one of probably my favorites is kind of a twofold piece. In a prior company, there I saw a lot of benefits from a large trucking company and how they can invest in individuals. So a lot of training and development programs that this company offered, and I got to be part of some of them. And I was able to, try to, not just me, but we started taking bits and pieces from all of our different experiences and say, what do we think matters? So kind of starting, I think we have 2 interns here in the office this summer. But every year we try to pull in an office intern talent, not our only way, but that's a really great starting point to get people exposed to the industry, and then hopefully be in a spot where we're creating jobs for them. So Nate, who is one of our ops managers, and he now has a responsibility for a multitude of accounts and then implementation of business. He started as an intern in 2020, and basically intern front level, and we kept giving him more stuff to do, and he kept doing it.
Right.
So it's fantastic to be able to have that growth, especially when you're a large trucking company where I spent a lot of time. There's a lot of opportunities to either go sideways or then go up, go sideways, and then up, and kind of find these different channels, whether it was operations or customer service or this and that. And for us, with our size, I think a lot of what we're trying to develop out is that networking. And that's why I really like what we're doing with the freight thing. I think it's really exciting for us in our size to try to find things that we can do to support our folks. So we also support the MTA. We send folks through the next leader. We're going to send another person through that again. So for us, it's trying to find things because of our size, not just here, but like what can we attach ourselves to outside of here that makes sense. We have a lot of women that work here, so we're a big proponent of women in trucking. We've also kind of done a few other things with supporting some development programs. I think we're supporting one through the University of Minnesota Mankato with 2 of our associates who are involved in kind of helping them develop out some of their leadership stuff in supply chain. So it's really trying to, once you have a good person, feed them.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feed them because they're going to try to find a way to get fed. Trying to relate it back to food for all of us.
Feed them tri-tip.
That tri-tip works. So
listen, like you want a full plate, don't go hungry.
yeah.
Well, it's also impressive that you're developing people and moving them up within your company. A lot of people nowadays are moving out to get upward opportunity, right? And so the fact that you're developing them and then feeding them and giving them these opportunities to grow with the company, that's impressive. You just don't see that these days.
It's hard to do because we don't have as many, because you're not so large. I think there's not as many of those opportunities, at least comparatively. But it is a big focus for us. So I appreciate it because it is something we really are focused on. We want to see our folks grow. I would rather continue to grow those folks than go try, not that someone else can't do well, right? But we know our folks, and we have really great folks. And so trying to find ways to continue to grow and add responsibility to them and watch them develop. We just put another lady on my team. She's taken over responsibility for one of our port dray businesses, and she's just going after it, and it's just so much fun, and I can tell how excited she is about it, and we're just seeing a lot of progress just because it's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things.
That's a different type of sustainability, right? We're talking about environmental sustainability. You look at organizational sustainability too. When it sounds like you've got a feeder system, when it comes to internships, and you're showing a track record of people can go from intern into leadership roles. I mean, that creates a flywheel, which obviously then helps with just overall recruitment and for the office and continues to build that culture too, which is really, really exciting. Really cool.
Yeah, and culture does. That's why it's so important, right? And just one of the things we talk about it. We talked about that stand up on Friday, but we love to bring people in that are interviewing to come be a part of TA Dedicated. We'd love to have them come in on Friday so they see that stand up meeting. They can see it. To me, it's somebody's interviewing with us, but we're also interviewing with them. It's really a two-way street, and we really want folks to see. Our stand-up meeting is just a great example of our culture. So come see what this is. Come see who you would be a part of, and a lot of Fridays we'll have folks in here that we're talking to about job opportunities. So it's just a really cool thing. And again, just the importance of our culture is having.
You guys do it tomorrow morning?
Yeah. Seriously.
You're welcome. 9:15. He's getting recruited.
I want to come see it. Like, is it going to be like a Wolf of Wall Street style meeting? Like, I'm not leading. Like, I want to see that.
No goldfish will be consumed.
Well played. Well, not with that attitude.
No, that's great. I think anybody who's looking at the larger community right now, and there's a time in my life where I would have said community is a C word, but as we've moved into transportation is reinventing itself in a lot of ways. That's a lot to do with the sign behind us, and we've brought forward this group, and it's sort of reinventing itself almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But it's a lot about that community and bringing that community out. So Minnesota hasn't done a good job of that. I think Chicago's done a pretty good job. I mean, there's some pretty people. There's some groups that get together frequently there, and there's some good networking organizations. The Chicago Transportation Club does a good job. The Minnesota Trucking Association certainly is strong as an organization. That's the one beacon I think that we have in Minnesota. But to know people in Minnesota, I mean, I've encountered more people in the last year or two since I've started just networking to network, not even looking from a sales perspective, or there's no agenda other than to just meet people. I've met people that I should have met forever ago. I mean, there's people with 30-year careers in transportation that there's absolutely no reason that I shouldn't have crossed their path, and I haven't. So that's just strange. So
the universe is just getting you ready,
right? So, but that's largely why Freight Movement launched, was to bring all those people together, whether they're drivers, whether they're operations staff, owners of companies, doesn't matter. Start dialogue and see what can happen when you put those people together. So ideas, the ideas that can come from that, whether it helps you or helps someone else, karma's gonna play itself out. So we appreciate you guys helping us do the inaugural event. I know we dipped our toe in the water a few months ago, but this one's the first real launch. So we do appreciate TA
before the launch.
Yeah, the real launch before the launch.
Pre-party. We'll have an after party.
So, which you still have time to sign up. There's, I think, 20 or 30 openings still. So for tonight, we have 100 available tickets. So it's Fire Lake Grill. Fire Lake. I'm looking off to the side and getting thumbs up from Maria. Fire Lake Grill in Bloomington, Minnesota, starting at 6:00 tonight. So if you're listening and you're in Minnesota, you should come. So
Come through, it shall be lit.
yeah, it shall be lit. So and it's free beer, so you know you can't go wrong there. Wine, and some appetizers. So come on by and talk with a variety of transportation people. So all right, I'm going to shift into a few other topics. So I always like to roll into nothing without trucking. So we've talked a little bit about that up to this point. Nothing Without Trucking is an ATA initiative. It's about celebrating stories of the road. It's about bringing transportation to the idea of transportation, the stories of transportation, and to the general public. So I'm going to ask some questions. We'll talk about some stuff and just have some general discussions around our experiences in transportation logistics throughout our career. But largely it's Nothing Without Trucking is about educating the general public. So the demographics there, over the last 10 years, the acceptance of trucking has grown from 60% to 80%. Once again, over the last 10 years, that's great, right? So the fact that the general public accepts that is wonderful, which means that we now have a lever that we can pull that says, hey, trucking's kind of getting beat up by environmentalists, by trial lawyers, by other entities, and we can use some help here because trucks are twice the price that they used to be. It doesn't make sense. Some of the technology we're being forced into maybe doesn't math, and these things should go a different direction. So it's to provide that education. So some of this is just simply general questions. Some of them will be kind of more witty, but so what's some of the more interesting places that your careers have taken you?
When I started I spent a good amount of time at Schneider. One of the cool things was going your first couple of weeks there was to go on a ride along with the driver. And I showed up on a Saturday afternoon at the terminal, and my driver and we drove up to Upper Peninsula, Michigan, and then we headed out to New Jersey for a delivery on Monday morning, South Philly, to see, great example of how tough the trucking industry is. You're curving around in these roads that were not built for 53-foot trailers. You're seeing what it's like to show up at at a site at 1 a.m, and then you grab some sleep, and then you deliver the first thing that next morning, and just going through that experience, South Philly, 53-foot trailer. Ooh.
What can go wrong?
Yeah. Just tons of respect for the work that the professional drivers do out there. It's just a really good eye-opening experience for me, just to physically see that. I think that's a piece that we're all out there sharing the roads with trucks, but to actually get in one and see what drivers go through on a day in and day out basis, it's a lot.
That's something I tell people is one of the most important things you can do if you work in this industry is to go for a ride along. Mm-hmm. I don't care what you do. If you're in accounting, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just spend a week in a truck and see what that's like, and see how you're treated.
Yeah.
And to see the difference. It's different than driving your car. And I think it's one of those important things you can do.
Yeah, agreed.
Matt, would you answer that?
Yeah, I'm going to try to give a different answer. I was going to go down the port of Long Beach, because that was kind of like this, the general
big
size.
Port.
But I think Rob's captured it. I'm going to go a different route. I think I'm going to go the safety route. So in a former life, I was doing overseeing chemical bulk, pretty corrosive stuff. And, you just get so involved in what's going on, and, the safety is very important. And I had a driver, and we had these specialized chem suits, face masks, goggles, everything. And he had done all of this stuff. I wasn't at the facility at the time, but I saw the video later, and he was trying to clean out his tank, and he had disconnected incorrectly something, and he had got boiling hot water hit him. But he had been he didn't have the boots that we provided. He had tennis shoes on, and he ended up in the hospital just because of that. And I think the danger, we always talk about accidents, especially rear end accidents, but just there's so many dangerous parts of the job. And I think that really opened my eyes to, especially as you specialize more as a driver, you really have to be really on your game. And one of those drivers, I never will forget him. I swear he could do math and understand the different types of chemicals we were hauling and what would make mustard gas, what wouldn't, what would do this, the guy was super smart. He wanted to be on the road and
skills of misspent youth.
Yeah. So I think that was that was an eye opener of just how important it is to preach safety.
Right. No, I agree with that. I have one comment to add on that. I used to drive, and I hauled a week. I hauled anhydrous ammonia.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, so I was in training the whole week, but I was driving the loads. I was an experienced driver and running loads, and then that guys would help me pump them off. Every driver I talked to had these scars up and down their hands from getting hit by the ammonia, and that was the end of that one. I couldn't do bulk gas was not my thing.
Yeah.
So I hauled all kinds of other crazy stuff. I did heavy haul. I did all kinds of other stuff, but not that stuff. That was not my bag. So next question for you is what is the most rewarding part of working in the trucking industry?
I'll jump first. People. I mean, we already kind of spoke about it, so I don't want to give the same answer necessarily, but the thing I like about it so much is we're selling a service and we're selling jobs that we already kind of talked about. It's finding a way to make the job as appealing as it can be for our driver, but also it's a people relationship business. Trucking is not is not a product that you're selling. It's a service we're selling. So the relationships matter. People want to do business with people that they want to work with, and that's why I like the industry.
Rob?
Yeah, that's a great question. Maybe going back a little bit to Nate, you mentioned just acceptance of trucking as an industry to what we all collectively went through during COVID. Just the fact that people knew what the heck a supply chain was, right? Like you heard that.
Well, did they?
They knew the two words, they went together.
I don't see stuff on my shelves, but I don't know why.
The TV told them it was broken. So.
Supply chain is broken.
Yeah, I need my 14 kinds of mustard, and I only have 13. I mean, just the world that we live in. I think just the importance that this industry and we collectively do to get goods from wherever they're produced into everybody's homes, and just I think if you guys felt that too, like throughout COVID, there's just like the sense of what, as an industry we're doing it, and it's such a under the radar industry. It always had been. People just expected their stuff to be on the shelves when they wanted it, and it was just a God-given right. And the fact that there was such disruption and so many changes during that time, that collectively as an industry we came through and we nailed it, right? I mean, we did the best we could, and people had the things that they needed, and it was just a really cool moment, I think, and just took a great amount of pride in that throughout that COVID time period.
Does anyone else love the side effect of, like, if someone says, "Oh, I'm from a small town, you probably never heard of it"? No, I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Like, how far it is from the
I get that all the time.
And the area code game.
Uh-huh.
You ever had that?
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Not the game, but
The game, but the song too. Like just you see an area code, like, I know 435 is Northeast Utah. I know 703 is Northern Virginia. Like, it's just stuff like that. And that's one of the really fun things. But no, you're right. It's the people. It's the recognition for the stuff that we do. We do it because yes, it's a job. We get paid and all that kind of stuff. But then you realize you really change a lot of things. Like you bring solutions to a shipper that reduces their costs and allows them to get bonuses. All of a sudden, you've not only changed lives here, you've done it on a different side of the supply chain, which is awesome. It's super cool. It's fun.
So final question. If you could add a ridiculous feature to your trucks, what would that be? You got an? Well, then we'll have you answer it too. But we'll let them start. Yeah.
Rob, do you have one yet? Oh man, I was hoping you had one.
I can
kick it off. Then kick it off.
Security monkey.
Like what kind of monkey though? Like a
a trunk
cute
monkey?
little capuchin monkeys?
The
or
trunk monkey.
Yeah.
So
Monkey.
just hit the button.
So
and-
yeah, you hit the button, and all of a sudden, monkey with a baseball bat comes out away from my truck. Security monkey.
I could see
We, fraud and theft is a huge issue here in trucking.
Mm-hmm.
This is my way to combat it. Monkeys.
that. Like how big a bat would you give the monkey? Like would you need a real strong monkey, or would it be like a just?
Well, you gotta remember,
every
big
monkey's pretty strong.
They're all pretty
so-
strong.
Yeah.
And so you get a good size, the bongos, I think that's what they are. I can't remember what all the different species are, but you get a monkey that's going to be able to lift 4 to 5 times its body weight, and you hand a regular Louisville Slugger, like, have at it. Just make sure you keep the food stocked, and you're good to go.
Yeah, you thought about this a little.
You said ridiculous feature.
Yeah, ridiculous
functional
feature.
feature. Then
Right.
I'll go some.
Right. I
ridiculous
mean,
feature.
we
It'd be
we
great.
can all think of functional features. I think that's the Carl says donut maker. So
That's I was going
that
to go
sounds
the
about
food route.
yeah.
So
So,
I was going to say a charcoal grill attachment.
yeah. Well, that would be perfect for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I could get behind too. So yeah.
I hate microwaving food, so I
Yeah.
think that would be a challenge for me, is finding a way to heat food outside of a microwave. I don't know why, but I don't like microwaving things. Some weird thing.
some way of some way of producing better. I've seen some pretty crazy setups. So
because that's the government controls your mind.
Yeah, it might be it.
yeah, fair enough.
Tinfoil baseball.
Rob, you get any ideas on that?
Oh man, I'll pass.
No bad.
My creativity today is not.
Yeah,
the
All right, fair enough.
Security monkey.
That's a
It was
tough.
all downhill
Yeah.
after that one.
That's a tough one. Yeah. All right.
Keep me
We'll start going through our wrap up here, but keep everybody on the screen because I think that's what.
question was awesome.
Which one? Well, you ask it, then I don't have
All
my
right.
eyes on. So
If TA Dedicated was a superhero, what would his superpower be?
Oh, I'm gonna because my son James he would be upset because he loves superheroes, and
Okay.
I ask him this question at night because I let him pick a superpower, and then I tell a story about someone with a superpower. He always picks super speed. It's either super speed on a bike, super speed running, or super speed swimming.
Okay.
So I'm going to say super speed safely so that we can get the products there. The products there fast. I know that maybe isn't.
So invulnerability
Yeah.
at high speed.
There we
Yeah.
go. Vulnerability and
There you go.
speed.
Yeah.
I like that.
Being a fellow nerd.
yeah, fair enough. You got one to add, Rob?
Putting me on the spot.
Yeah,
No,
another
I-
spot.
I don't know.
You got it.
Say, yeah, I'll pass.
All right, fair
Man.
enough. Fair
I
enough.
gotta get back to having
He's-
little
he's-
kids again.
Yeah.
Go back on the security
I
monkey.
Yeah,
like
I-
the
yeah.
security
Yeah.
monkey.
What
How
kind
would
of
you
bat?
do
Like
this?
how big? Like a
Aluminum
29-inch bat? Could you get them like a
We're gonna
34-inch
get
bat?
a 31-inch bat, 44 ounce, the big
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark McGuire style.
Yeah.
We'll go to town.
Yeah. We might have to do a commercial on that or something again too.
Someone did.
Well, they
Yeah.
did the trunk monkey thing,
Yeah, the trunk
but
monkey,
we
yeah.
might have to do some editing on that and try to build the truck monkey.
Like the
That's
logo.
exactly where I was
Yeah,
just
man.
going.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be truck
Absolutely.
monkey. So get
Oh,
away from
yeah.
my truck.
I already have a logo in
So,
mind.
yeah.
I already made it.
T-shirts are available
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
T-shirts will be at the event tonight.
exactly. So, all right, so I'm gonna start wrapping it up. We have, and I gotta get all the clicking stuff, or maybe Jeremy, you're on it. So, or I didn't get
The
the.
world went south. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
like,
So okay, well, I'll talk about it at least because I didn't get the freight podcast
Oh,
thing
yeah.
up there. So, so we have another podcast coming out. Another freight podcast.
No.
So it's another FR8 podcast, and this will be hosted by Whitney Johnson Cowell and Robert Bain.
Strongest man in the business.
So bingo. And well, when does it start?
First episode is recorded, and then we just gonna get it edited real quick, and then we will probably drop it either
You
this
already
evening.
recorded it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the ball.
We
I
haven't
think it
even-
happened on Tuesday,
We
right?
do things very backwards.
Yeah.
We're like launching before the launch.
Yeah, you know.
We got the episode
Someone like
before.
does podcasts, and I pop up like just.
Uh,
I mean, we're so productive.
Try to be.
I thought I put the picture up here, but apparently I did not.
Which
so
one wanted me?
no,
You
I
and
thought I
these
had another freight podcast picture up here, but it's missing.
Oh.
So whatever. We'll
She
put
said,
it out there. So, yeah, I know. There's things. So
Logistics content.
it's logistics content. We have a great one. We'll put it up on LinkedIn so everybody can see it. But following that, so when is it coming out again? So
Either later on tonight or tomorrow.
fair enough. So
The podcast?
Yes.
I don't even got the intro and outro yet.
details.
We can do that next.
Yeah.
Details.
All right. Well, just
I'll blink
just
once
go.
if everything's going
Just
All
go.
right. Upcoming events.
Yes.
So we have, once again, freight movement tonight at Fire Lake Grill in Bloomington. We talked about that earlier, sponsored by TA Dedicated. So come on by starting at 6:00 tonight. You can find the event on LinkedIn. Just look up Freight Movement, FR8MVMT. Website is coming very, very soon. It's not coming fast enough, but none of this stuff comes fast enough.
Listen,
But
we just
Just
go.
holding everything up.
It's like
Yeah.
you can't learn to drive a car and park. Just go and you'll figure it out.
yeah, we just got commented, bring the freight movement to Chattanooga. So
Yes.
yeah. So that I'm pretty sure that's going to happen here too. So
Chicago.
Cleveland.
well, that's got and Cleveland and
Atlanta.
Atlanta, and yeah, we've got a whole bunch of other people. So a whole bunch of other people looking forward too. So the let's see, next week we at JLCS are going to be at Samsara Beyond.
Neither one of us will be.
Neither. That's weird.
It is weird.
So
It's in Chicago.
that's great. That's great. But yeah, it's in Chicago. You're not going to be there.
Have a good
But,
reason to officiate a wedding on Wednesday.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So,
We're going
but
to
Mike Turner,
Half an hour.
David Gadet, Susan Mayo, and Mike Solars will be at Samsara Beyond. If you are there and want to chat with our crew, please feel free to reach out. You probably know how, but you can reach out to sales@glcs.net, and we'd be happy to meet with you. Following that, we'll be at the Minnesota Trucking Association annual conference at the end of July. I think we'll be up there with our TA dedicated friends as well.
and
And
we'll have the official launch.
Most
we'll have
importantly,
the
most importantly, Nikki Bain's going to be there, and everyone will get to see she is real, not a
Oh,
paper.
yeah, Nikki Bain
She's not
will
a
be
paid
there.
actress.
We'll be there. And then next week, the Driving Forward podcast is a first time ever. We're doing so on Tuesday. We were on site at Fortune Transportation in Windham, Minnesota, and we recorded for many hours, talking to a lot of different people. And we
Most hours.
Yes, the most hours. It was a lot. And had a great discussion with the entire team and chatted a lot with Perry Olson. Perry's also the current chairman of the Minnesota Trucking Association. So next Thursday, we'll have that all compiled and we'll put out the Thursday Driving Forward episode with Fortune Transportation. And then there's a whole slew of other events that we're going on. I think there's a variety of podcasts that Bain and I are both on through the end of the month.
Going to Vegas in September. That's all I care about.
Yeah, that too. So we have Trimble. So, but gentlemen, it was great to have you on the show. You're welcome anytime. This was a blast. I appreciate it. Anything in closing? Anybody else?
Bring the meats
Any
next
other?
time.
Yeah, I'll bring the meat
Yeah, can
next
we have
time.
a cook-off?
Deal.
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
do a
No,
cook-off.
I can see that.
A smoke-off.
I like that. No,
Careful.
You don't smoke?
smoke.
Smoke
Smoker.
meat. Smoke
Oh,
meat.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still on.
Talking about barbecue. All right. Well,
How can people get a hold of you outside of socials
Yep.
or reach out? How
Yeah,
can
check
people
us
get a hold
out.
of you?
We've got a new and improved website, tadedicated.com. A lot of great things there just to see a little bit more about who we are and the values and solutions we provide to our customers. So check that out, and socials as well.
And how folks reach you individually.
Yeah, R. McNeil at tadedicated.com.
M. Zechmann, 2 N's at tadedicated.com.
Perfect. Well, once
Thank
again,
you. Thank you guys as
Yeah,
well.
thanks for having us.
Gal, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the time. Excited about what you guys are doing to bring people together. That's why we like it. It's about people.
World domination.
yes. Connection.
Free beer doesn't hurt.
that doesn't.
I never.
Connection plus free beer.
All right. Well, stay curious, stay informed, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.
And speed and safety.